Hello, everyone. Welcome to 2022. And I am so excited to be sharing with you that, as you can see, I changed the name of my coaching business and YouTube channel, and it was from Journey to Authentic Living to now Mindset Matters with Sandra. And I made this minor change because really, I think that the chapter, as many chapters of my life have closed in the last few years, or improved, let's put it that way. I also think that the work that I'm doing with Faster EFT, which is the best cutting edge neuroplasticity based modality out there to help rewire your brain, from trauma and abuses and all that kind of stuff and limiting beliefs. Really, the Mindset Matters with Sandra is definitely something that I'm shifting towards, because it's always about mindset. Even if it's about gaining emotional intelligence, it's always about that. Okay, so for today, I want to talk a little bit about, let's see what arises with this, with kind of triggers, because I have clients who are still a little bit confused. They want me to sort of give an example, a little bit better example, perhaps step by step of what to do. There's so much to talk about with the topic, but basically, there's a couple things that I want to share with all of you that I have come to understand that before I didn't understand, that nobody, whether it was a therapist or, whether it was just other personal development modalities out there, didn't really spend a lot of time talking about what I'm going to say right now. And that is, number one, you cannot avoid being triggered. So just abandon the idea, the hope that you will never be triggered, because that's going to be virtually impossible unless you want to drive yourself crazy. Know that you're a human being and that you're in a human body and that you will be triggered. In fact, it's very common to have little triggers throughout the day. The important thing is not to be afraid of your triggers. When someone says something, their facial expression, their tone, their behavior, the words, even if they say something that's unpleasant, okay, it's not to avoid that. You cannot, and you can't really even prepare not to have triggers. There's nothing that you can do. And I know that I was ignorant at one point. Years ago, I thought for some reason I could avoid triggers in friends and in family and so forth. And I was focused on the wrong thing. I was focused on really failing. No wonder I felt like a failure at times, with sometimes my friendships and stuff like that, because I was always trying to avoid something. Instead, what I didn't know I was doing was I was feeding their pattern. So if somebody was insecure, I would try to not make myself shine too much or what have you. I'm giving you kind of an example of something that I actually would do. And instead, we want to teach people, right, to be able to stand in their own empowerment, so that they don't take that personal, because no matter what you do, your friend, your spouse, your parents, your children, whatever, you can't help them from feeling a certain way. That's their problem. They can't say, well, you made me feel this way. Now, temporarily, it could be that the trigger is, wow, that was kind of rude, or you were rude. No, that could, you can bring somebody's attention, how you feel. But at the end of the day, that's their problem, because whatever comes out of their mouth is about them, and whatever comes out of your mouth is about you. And it's all about interpretation as well. The second thing to know about triggers is we already know that we're not going to avoid them. Okay. What we can do, however, is learn, for example, like with Faster EFT, to learn to manage how we respond, how we react to another person. Not with the hope of being perfect, not gaining knowledge and skill to always, because, right, that's a word. Never and always are two words that even Robert says we don't use, right? Because we try to be as consistent as possible. But even as an upper level practitioner of Faster EFT, and Robert himself and other people in general who are very, or the most intelligent, emotionally intelligent people that we can be, we have our triggers, right? In some moments right? But it's learning and practicing the skill every day. Every day you have an opportunity. Number three, every day you have an opportunity to practice pulling back, becoming aware of yourself, becoming aware of your own trigger. How do you do that? By becoming aware of your mind. What are you thinking? What are you doing? Right? What we focus on does expand. And there is something called RAS, and the RAS, which is the reticular activation system. I hope I got that one right. I'll probably have to correct it in the notes. But basically, it's what you focus on, you see more of. You start looking for evidence. The brain has these neurons that start looking for evidence. The most simple example of that is that, let's just say you are looking for a brand new vehicle and you want a, gray vehicle with, that's convertible or something, that's Mercedes-Benz. I'm making it up, right? Well, you want that in your mind every time you're going to be down, the highway, or you're going to see a lot of gray convertible Mercedes. That is the RAS. That's the activation system that's focused on that. So it's going to look at that all the time. So if you have feelings of inadequacy, if you have feelings of unworthiness, or you've been bullied, or you can't find a good relationship because you always attract the same type of person, it's not in your logical system, but tucked away in your subconscious. You've got these references that already have been proving to you all these years and all this time that is what you're attracting, because that's all you know. You don't know any different, and you didn't have the skill or the tools to not attract that, right? So these are little triggers make up a pattern, right? And we keep playing out this pattern, okay? So this is why it's important that when you are triggered by someone, doesn't matter how, you learn, number one, to stop and observe when you're being triggered. And sometimes it's not always easy, because it's a very kinesthetic, visceral feeling where you feel like, boom, you want to attack. And that's why a lot of people argue all the time, or they find people to argue with, right? Because they feed off of that. They don't know how to discharge their emotions, so they dump it on other people. Look, and we've all done this. Okay. I mean, most of us have done this. I shouldn't say all people, but most people have done this. If you've lived in the world a little bit, you've known this, right? It's kind of very instinctual, right? So we can either fight, we can flee, or we can freeze, right? These are the three reactions. But it's really important to be able to pull back and realize that if this other person is not pleasant with us, it's a reflection more about their inner world than it is about our world. Do we condone that? Do we accept that as far as like, oh, I'm just going to try to make their life? No, we don't do that. We don't feed their pattern. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail because everybody's different. There's a million reasons how we could resolve that issue. But the easiest way to do this is to recognize that you need to pull back. We need to pull back on our triggers. We need to recognize them and then just not do anything. We can either go somewhere and tap, or we can, mentally tap, in our heads. We can distract ourselves when we're feeling triggered by another individual. One of the things that can be very painful as well, that's part, and right now I'm going to get into the process of the actual practice of it, because I have a lot of clients that are, don't know how to manage that in the everyday life. So what that would look like, and this is my way of how to kind of help in very, very baby step way, is that you need to notice when you're being triggered, catch it when you can. Sometimes not saying anything at all is the best way to do it. Your body would want to lash out. Your body wants to fight. It wants to defend itself verbally, right? It wants to say F you to that person, or what the hell are you, whatever, right? It's going to take a lot of restraint from not doing that. And that's the point right there that's so uncomfortable, to keep your mouth quiet, or to go and do your inner work. What is, this is what's bothering me. Calm the body down first. And then when you have time, work on that issue, because that person might have not wanted to belittle you, for example, but you interpreted it that way, right? Or maybe you'll find out what your pattern is in association to that trigger. That's when you hire a practitioner like myself, or if you already know how to do tapping, you would do it, on yourself. The steps are easy to explain, but they're not always easy to do. And it really is just about, sometimes you just don't respond. Silence is really sometimes your best friend. And when you're bothered, and you are bothered for a day, and you're bothered for 2 days, and you're going like, oh my God, this tapping isn't working. It's not that it isn't working. It's that you have to grow the muscle. Just like if you want to lose weight, or you want to gain tone in your body, or you want to go hiking after so many years of not going hiking, you have to build the muscle in your legs again. You're not going to go hiking for 3 hours like maybe you used to. You'll probably only be able to do it maybe at first for a half an hour, 45 minutes. And then you build onto that. You don't just give up and go like, well, I can't do 3 hours anymore, right? It's the same thing with this. It's going to feel very uncomfortable. One of my favorite philosophers and teachers is Adyashanti. And I don't have the quote in front of me, but I love it, because he says, when people start awakening, it's a very messy, painful ordeal. It's a process that it's a metamorphosis. It's breaking through one mindset after another. It challenges your beliefs. It makes you doubt who you are, doubt the other person, doubt your relationships, your friendships, your work. What am I doing? Your total existence. This is evolution. This is emotional intelligence at its working. This is what you're heading towards, right? So I hope this has been helpful to some of you to understand that we are not avoiding triggers. We learn day by day, gaining our skill set in our toolbox as to how to manage it. It's going to be 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And even if you don't do the 1 step back, and you've gotten so proficient at it because you're emotionally intelligent, or more emotionally intelligent than other people, there is an expectation that in the future you will fall back, and you'll get triggered, you'll get angry, you'll get upset, you'll whatever. Again, I want to remind you from the beginning of this video, you're a human being, not about perfection. This is about progress. Okay, my friends, if you have any questions, comment below, and I will get to you, answer you in the comment section. All right, have a good one. Blessings to all, and a lot of health and prosperity for each and every one of you watching this. Take care.